Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of First Look, Final Word, podcast where we take you along to see a movie with us. I'm Pete.
And I'm Trevor. What's going on, you cyberpunks?
Nice.
Today we're seeing Ghost in the Shell in the year 2029. Oh man, that's coming up fast.
the far-flung future.
The barriers of our world have been broken down by the net and by cybernetics, but this brings new vulnerability to humans in the form of brain hacking. When a highly wanted hacker known as the Puppet Master begins involving them in politics, Section 9, a group of cybernetically enhanced cops, are called in to investigate and stop the Puppet Master.
Nice.
All right, here we go. Well, so for those who are new to the pod, welcome. Pete and I are literally in the car. We're driving to go see The Ghost in the Shell.
Yes,
in theaters.
In an actual theater. Yes.
Yeah, for its 30th anniversary celebrations. I think the movie came out in Japan like in June or something, but I guess, some theaters are just getting a head start.
They're going, oh, okay.
Maybe I think North American.
Yeah, they wouldn't have got it first.
Yeah, I think North American release probably like 97 or something.
I was going to say, yeah. So it's the 30th anniversary of the release.
Yeah, released in Japan.
I didn't even realize it was that. So there you go.
Yeah,
I have not done any homework on this one. I'll be honest with you. I kind of wanted to go in as fresh as possible, actually, because I've never seen this.
Okay, and so do you know anything about the movie's reputation?
Just like that it's a classic, like pretty much.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't really know a whole lot about it. I just know that the manga it was based off of was like highly acclaimed and is like one of the ones that's talked about when you talk about the best sort of anime manga adaptations that came out of Japan. But like I really don't know anything about the plot. I don't know anything about any of it, to be honest with you.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to try to say as little as possible.
No, you don't have to, don't worry about like spoiling it. I mean, it's a 30-year-old movie. I think statute of limitations is past. Like,
well, I say on these classics, we still do try to do like we'll do
won't ruin the ending.
We'll do a spoiler-free review once we saw the movie, and then give people plenty of warning before going to spoilers. Even though it's an old movie, still might be someone's first time going to see it or something because of the anniversary.
Right.
I don't know, right? There could be some Pete's out there.
There's got to be more than just me.
I've seen this movie once.
Okay.
About 10 years ago, and I loved it.
Okay.
I'm not a big anime guy.
Yeah,
normally.
That's what I was going to ask you because we've never really talked about it before, but not in the podcast or offline. But I was wondering how big of a fan you were of the old anime and that kind of thing, because I'm not a huge fan myself. I've always found it to be something that like I feel like I should be more into it than I am, because I really love the aesthetic of it. I love the way it looks, and I'm all for like getting into like universes and fandom and that kind of thing. But for whatever reason, nothing's ever grabbed me, and I think maybe I just didn't get me at the age when it would have got me, and anything that I did see has been a bit too crazy for me, where I'm just like, this is a bit too much. I'll just stick with something a bit more simple.
Well, I've never like fallen hard into the world, but it's kind of on purpose because it's such a big.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's such a big world.
It's like I've got enough fandoms I'm into. I don't need to jump into a million more.
That's the thing. Like
it's the same reason why I never.
Star Trek keeps me pretty busy.
Exactly. That's why I never got into Doctor Who, especially being in England. I'm like, I could have definitely, if I got into Doctor Who, I know I would love it and I would be bang into it. But I've just never done it because I'm like, I don't have time to get into another fandom right now.
What do you think? What would your life have been like if you had got into Doctor Who?
Oh, I would have been all over it, man. Sonic screwdrivers all over the place.
I've avoided Doctor Who for that exact same reason. Like,
it's just so massive as well, because I'm a completist as well. So if I'm going back and watching every single episode of Doctor Who, I was like, I don't get time for that.
I've heard so many people say like, just start with the revival.
Ones,
my brain does not work that way.
No.
That's why we're doing this Aardman completist watch, is because I feel like I have to consume everything.
Exactly.
And then someday I'll be whole and I won't have to do that anymore.
We'll just start with that, and then actually I'm going to go back and do everything again. Yeah.
But I see like the big anime releases that come to North America,
right.
Basically. Like, so I've seen, Ghost in the Shell. I've seen Akira.
I have seen Akira. I do like Akira.
Yeah, I like it, not as much as I like this one.
Really? Okay, cool.
Then like I obviously love the Ghibli stuff. So like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
like
you know,
in my mind,
it's sort of a
that's
different
different though,
thing.
right? Yeah, it's not the same sort of, because whenever I think of like anime stuff, it's just always super intense and science fictiony or like fantasy, which I guess you could argue is
Yeah, Ghibli's I guess
Ghibli's too, but it's more
the
like,
fantasy stuff. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's more like folklory stuff,
yeah.
folk tales. Yeah, it's just like some of the stuff that you see, even like in Akira, I'm just like, this is like blowing my mind a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's a whole different thing for
But, like,
sure.
I think you have to be in a certain mindset to be able to get into that probably. Because with me, I'm just like, this is getting too much now.
Yeah. So yeah, if you are anime fans tuning in, like I still think it's worth your while to hang back and listen to us.
Sorry if we've offended
like
anybody.
non-dedicated fans kind of experiencing this in the theater.
Yeah.
Because you might get some converts.
There
today.
you go. Right? Yeah, we might be raving about it. We'll go back and watch every single manga series ever made.
So while we're driving to the theater, Pete and I were gonna dip back into our ongoing Aardman project.
Yes.
So this is week 4 of our project to consume everything that is Aardman animations.
Yep.
If you want to watch along with us, we're going to be discussing Curse of the Were-Rabbit today. Like you can press pause, make sure you've seen that movie, and hop back in, and then we're kind of catching up to Aardman up to 2005 at this point.
Yeah, we've been deep diving on Aardman, and it's been amazing. So hopefully you guys have been following along, and you're you're gonna love what we've got to say about Were-Rabbit today.
And if you have no interest in hearing about Were-Rabbit, just check at the bottom of our description. You can just skip ahead to our review of Ghost in the Shell.
I imagine it would be a bit of a weird double bill to do Wallace and Gromit and Ghost in the Shell back to back.
Well, you got to think about like different animation styles and aesthetics, and
yeah, we're on a bit of an animation kick though.
Couldn't get any different from Ghost in the Shell and
no, not
Were-Rabbit.
Right? Okay.
All right, so Pete, you were like the big Wallace and Gromit fan.
Yeah,
so
well documented at this point.
So how big of a fan were you kind of going into Were-Rabbit, and then where were you at that moment in 2005 when that movie came?
It's kind of funny because I think by the time that this time in my life when this was coming out, I'd kind of outgrown my love of Aardman stuff, like the kid stuff. I was in that age where I'm like a more like older teenager where I'm like I've got cooler stuff going on than watching Aardman movies. So it actually passed me by when it came out. I wasn't super interested in it. Like I didn't see it in the theater or anything. I didn't see it until actually like a few years later after the fact. I never went back and watched it. And I think honestly, I think a little bit of it as well was like around that time it was a bit like, oh, Aardman have sold out. Like now they're just doing these big DreamWorks things and it's not the same. Like they should just be doing shorts.
They should be just doing shorts for nobody.
They should just be doing cool little shorts off their own backs and like leave it as that. That's what Wallace and Gromit is to me. So I think there was a bit of that. Like looking back, I think I had a bit of that in me.
Was that a popular sentiment at the time?
You know what? I don't want to speak for anyone else because I don't really know, and I don't believe so because I know it did very, very well in the UK. So I think it was beloved. I think it was, like I say, I think it was more me being in my like rebellious young man phase. That was the height of my rebellion, being like, I'm not going to watch the Were-Rabbit movie. But I was stupid because it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I can almost understand the apprehension, right? Because, over the previous 20 years, right, there were, three shorts or 4 short? No, three shorts up to that point.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And like a TV show, which is like pretty like limited in length and scope. But like Wallace and Gromit was always really doing like, just going for quality. Yep. Like they were sticking to the stop motion thing. They weren't trying to find, shortcuts around like, how are we going to like put this into just like digitally animate this?
Exactly.
So I could see like a feature length movie coming out, and then you might be thinking, are one of these going to come out like every 3 years now? And it's just going to like Nick Park's going to be less involved, and it's just going to become like a big enterprise now.
Well, yeah, I think that was it. And to be fair, there'd been a big gap since the last Wallace and Gromit thing, right? So I think, and I have this thing as well. When I really love something, I'm just waiting for it to get ruined.
Yeah.
So I have a very pessimistic view of things. So I'm like, I'm worried about the next one coming along because I don't want it to ruin something, especially when it's like you're hitting bangers every time. You know what? You know they can't all be amazing, so you're just waiting for like the other shoe to drop, and it'd be like, oh, okay, now. And so I kind of, in my mind, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, Wallace and Gromit. Like, I'm happy with what I have. I don't need to keep watching it and be ruined.
Well, it's interesting because 2005 would be kind of right at the tail end of the Star Wars prequels, right? So you were probably in that.
Might have
in
been
that
a bit of that. It
headspace.
might have been. I've burned me too many times. you might have hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. But it's actually a testament to, you know, Aardman as a studio that they've had like, you know, 8 Wallace and Gromit projects, give or take, and they've all been at least very good. I would say,
and that's the thing I was saying I was stupid, because fair play to Aardman, like they regained, like they held on to their integrity. I want to say, like they didn't get swept up in the whole Hollywood, let's just like Americanize Wallace and Gromit to maximize our market potential and all that wanky speak that they do. So the studios didn't corrupt them is kind of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you know what? I'm interested for our discussion once we get to Flushed Away, which is a movie I have not seen.
You've not seen it? Okay.
No,
I've seen that a few times. My kids like it.
So our kids were watching it one day and I caught a bit of it, but it seemed like they were trying to go in a different direction, but I don't want to say too much.
Yeah,
but
we'll save the Flushed Away talk for that when the episode we do that. But yeah, I've got stuff to say about that. But honestly, like they haven't really had a bad movie, I wouldn't say. Although I didn't see Early Man, but as I say, that might be a conversation.
I haven't seen that either, so I'm looking forward to that. And that is Nick Park too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure at least.
The trailers I've seen haven't looked good. So
no, I think that was like widely regarded as maybe not their best output, but I mean but like they've done a pretty good job.
Even Pixar's had some real stinkers though.
Well, yeah, true enough. That's what I mean. You can't bat 100 every single time, right? Like it's just impossible. Sooner or later, and that's the problem when you have such a high bar. Then something that comes in that's like, oh, that's just good and not that's not great, or that's just great and not amazing. Then it feels like it's terrible, but it's not at all. It's just a great movie. So you set the bar too high sometimes. I think if you just keep knocking out bangers.
Yeah, that's true.
But what I did read though about that was a serious thing, like with DreamWorks, because obviously they had the success of doing Chicken Run and that made all the money. And they had, I was reading, they had like a multi-picture deal with Aardman to do a whole bunch of movies with DreamWorks. And they, the next movie, so the second one they did was obviously the Wallace and Gromit with the Were-Rabbit. And they were like, okay, we want like a big star to do Wallace's voice.
Like
that was a big thing from the studio. Like, we can't sell this in America unless you put a big star. Like, look how well it worked with putting Mel Gibson in Chicken Run. Like, you need that to hook the people in. And Aardman were like, good note, but we're not doing that.
Yeah.
They just basically were like, no. And then which is the right decision.
And on that point, I'm so perplexed all the time why they think that they need to put big stars' names in animated films.
Well, you say that, but then they refused to do that, and then because of that, it didn't make the money outside of Europe. Like, it didn't make a lot of money in the US, or I mean, it made enough, but not what the studio wanted, and that's why DreamWorks basically dumped them after that. Well, like, we don't want to work with you guys anymore.
But like, having Robin Williams is Wallace or whatever. Like, does that?
I mean, I don't know, but I'm not your average North American moviegoer, because these Wallace and Gromit movies are so British. That's why I love them so much. They're so like Northern British.
Well, that's the thing, but like
exactly sentiments. Like I don't because I'm not from that world. I don't know how that would be received. Like,
well, and the thing is, like, Chicken Run, like, they're doing the POW movie, right? They're doing Great Escape.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
relatable.
Is that not a success?
Well, it's not relatable, but you know what I mean.
Is that not a success with or without it being Mel Gibson specifically? Like, I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, it depends how you measure success, right? It would still be a great movie, but it wouldn't have made as much money.
I don't agree. Like I don't know like who goes to who goes to an animated movie based on like who is voicing the character. Like
Oh,
it's the same conversation we got into about like Super Mario Bros. Like who is going to that because Chris Pratt is playing Mario?
it's the great unwashed masses, Trevor.
But I don't believe it. Like I really don't believe it. I don't like.
There's a reason, man. There's a reason why the bean counters at the studios are like, if it doesn't have a name attached, it makes a percentage less in profits because there are other people that would be like, "Ooh, Chris Pratt's got a new movie. Doing a new movie. Let's go see Garfield." It just happens, man. I agree with you. I don't understand it, but I know enough to know that they've got the receipts to back it up.
I know that's what the bean counters think, but I just don't. I just don't believe it. Like I think like if you got
maybe not anymore. Maybe not anymore. Because like, to your point, like, who was going to see Frozen because they loved
Idina Menzel?
Like, oh, I love Wicked.
Kristen
I
Bell,
love Wicked. I'm going to go see Frozen. And
Jonathan Groff and
yeah, exactly. Like stuff like that. So it's not necessary, but I think it can definitely help. Put it that way.
Yeah, I don't because a lot of the times you like do not even realize it's a very famous person,
right? Yeah,
voicing that character. Like case in point, this movie. Ralph Fiennes is in this movie, not sounding like Ralph Fiennes at all.
I actually rewatched it today, and I was like, I knew it was Ralph Fiennes. I was like, that's like why. At a certain point, I was like, why did they even hire him?
Yeah, and like
it's a waste of his talents almost.
He did an amazing job, right? But like you can't tell it's him. Like so, you're not getting him for the star power, and he's not like he is a good voice actor, right? But I wouldn't say like he's not like a natural voice actor.
He did a great job, but it's just like he was like doing a voice, right? It's not like it was like quintessentially his voice, which is normally when you get a big celeb and you're like, just do your voice so people know it's you. but like no, like you say, unless you read about it, you wouldn't know. But that's why they got him, because the studio was like, okay, well, you can keep Peter Sallis as well as that's fine, but like at least put some stars in other roles. So like, okay, we'll get
Alan Carter,
we'll get Peter Kay in because people love him. But you probably don't even know who that is.
I know the name. Like, what is it?
He's a very popular stand-up comedian in England.
Okay,
he's like an everyman northerner.
Okay,
he was like
so who did
shit hot in the 2000s.
Did he play the vicar?
No, the policeman, I believe.
Okay.
Whose name was PC Macintosh, which I think is a great joke.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. That's great.
That is the one thing I love about Aardwin more than anything. I know we've talked about this before in other episodes, but like they squeeze like the side gags and the puns in. They just do so well at that, and like a lot of stuff that like you wouldn't even necessarily get. I know North American audiences probably don't get a lot of them, but it's just like that's very British reference. It's hilarious.
I love all the books that Gromit's reading. Like I love the newspaper headlines; are always so funny.
Well, it's like in this one when he goes to the library shelf and he's like trying to find the book that opens his secret cheese stash.
Okay,
and all the book titles are just cheese puns of classic books.
Honestly, I'm a little worried about Wallace, man. Like
that's the thing about this movie. That's kind of the side plot of this movie is that like, man, if you're just gonna eat cheese and crackers all the time,
you're gonna die.
You're gonna be overweight and you're not gonna last very long. But no, yeah, I rewatched this today with my youngest kid, because he's a big Wallace and Gromit fan, and they loved the Vengeance Most Foul. They binged that so many times, so they wanted to go back and watch a few more. So we watched it today. And
so how many times have they watched Vengeance Most Foul now?
Oh, like maybe 5.
Oh my gosh! Okay,
yeah, I know, right?
Well, it's a big hit. Well, I have been following the news throughout the month, and it's just like stayed like consistently popular, especially in the UK. Like worried about people not liking Wallace and Gromit anymore, but like it's still super popular.
Yeah, go back and listen to our episode on that. But yeah, they're back. They're not going anywhere.
Good for them for sticking with Peter Sallis through this, right? So,
well, actually, I was going to mention, because this movie was the first movie where and I forget his name, who took over the voice of Wallace. They actually had him do a few lines, because Peter Sallis was like, yeah, I'll do most of it, but like they brought him in to do some extra lines or whatever, because Peter Sallis retired in 2010.
Yeah.
And then he died in 2017.
Yes.
So this was like the first.
Vengeance Most Foul, you mean?
Yeah, Vengeance Most Foul was the first one he wasn't involved in at all.
Yeah.
But this, a matter of, or what are we talking about? The Were-Rabbit was the first movie they brought the other guy in to do some of the lines.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was on the movie doing a different part.
Interesting.
I think he was just part of the Aardman family. I've forgotten everything that we talked about already.
Yeah.
About that movie, but
so is there specific line readings that you could tell that it's not?
No, that's what I mean. I don't think I only knew that because I was looking at IMDb trivia about it today. But and in the new movie, is he does such a great job. It's I mean, no one's Peter Sallis, but I think he does a pretty great job.
Well, watching the movie yesterday with my kids, who are now full-fledged Wallace and Gromit fans,
right.
They love it. My daughter had seen this movie 3 years ago, but she didn't watching it or anything.
Right.
She's very, very attached to Gromit as a character.
Yeah. Well, he's the best.
And every movie we watch, she's just gets so disappointed in Wallace, saying he's blaming Gromit again. Gromit is doing everything for him, and he's just not appreciative of him.
Yeah, my kids just think it's funny. They don't really. They're not really too worried about Gromit getting in a raw deal. They're more just oh, funny, crashed his car. But so sticking back with this movie, how would you rank this one? Because going back to what I was talking about when it first came out, I was not interested. And I still kind of believe this to a certain point, but I prefer my Wallace and Gromit to be shorts. The shorts are what I grew up with, and I love that. And the feature length versions, I just feel sometimes it feels a bit like it's just too much. Wallace and Gromit, you know what I mean? I feel like they work better as skits, right? It's like visual comedy skits. So I just feel, I don't know why, but when I really enjoyed this movie, but at the same time, I'm like, it's a lot of just rabbits running around in it. I wish it was a bit shorter sometimes, but I don't know if that's just because I like the others more. I love a close shave and wrong trousers. I know we talked about them, but they're my classic Wallace and Gromit. And when I get to this movie, I'm I do love it. I watched it today, I loved it, but in my mind, it doesn't rank up with the best.
Do you feel like it drags a little bit?
I don't even think it does, because it's not it's long. I mean,
it's an hour 20, right?
It's not super long, and it doesn't drag. I think I'm just used to okay, I understand the bit, I understand the sketch. It's a were-rabbit, and there's rabbits everywhere. I just kind of feel I'd rather just get that done and then move on to a different story.
Right, you could have done this as a 30-minute one,
exactly.
Right? There's just as much plot in this one as there is in Wrong Trousers.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I think that's what I mean. I'm just used to them condensing the story and just getting on with it versus having all these surplus characters that I don't necessarily care about.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. And I don't want to include Vengeance Most Foul in this because it's still a little bit too fresh. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
Just thinking about the classic ones, I'd have sort of Wrong Trousers at the very top, and then the next line down, I'd probably have Close Shave and Were-Rabbit.
Yeah.
So I definitely see where you're coming from, because when I watched the shorts, my kids and I were just all right, let's put the next one on. That was great.
That was amazing. Let's do another one.
Because they're just perfect, and they're tight, and they're just these clean.
It's weird though, because I think it's specifically Wallace and Gromit, because I don't have the same thoughts about Chicken Run. And
right.
I never thought why is Chick, or any of the other features that they've done. I've loved them all mostly. And I've never thought this doesn't need to be this long. But I think it's just my brain was wired that Wallace and Gromit is bish bash bosh, get in, do a fun story. And my other thing is and your daughter might agree with me, I feel too much Wallace, he can start becoming a bit annoying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a full hour and a half of him doing his stupid stuff over and over again. Like he needs to be a resolution quickly. Like start off, become an idiot, resolution at the end, say thank you, Gromit, move on. But when he's like, and it works well with Were Rabbit because, like, spoilers, like he's the Were Rabbit.
Yeah, I guess we could do spoilers here.
So, like, but like, I don't know. I just feel like it can, I don't want to come off like I don't like the movie because I really do, but I just wanted to make note of that because it was something where I was like, it just feels like it, for some reason, like I would rank it below all of the shorts.
Well, and so like up to this point, one thing we hadn't really seen much is like this is the first time that there is dialogue between Wallace and another
Other
character,
characters,
right?
yeah.
And like they do that again a couple years later in A Matter of Loaf and Death,
which
But
I like better than this one.
Okay, well that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think I'd put that one a little than this.
I mean, I haven't rewatched it since we did that, so I'll have to go back and see. But yeah,
But like and so there is a bit of a different vibe to this, right? Like, as in the previous movies, it's Wallace talking to Gromit, right? Or it's Wallace talking to a penguin who,
well, yeah,
none of them talk back to him, right?
Yeah,
so
this is the first time they've faced a human antagonist.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and like,
which also I didn't really like.
Well, and we kind of learn in this movie that there are like basically all humans in this universe are as stupid as Wallace.
Pretty much, right?
Because like I can't remember.
They all love growing vegetables. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I can't remember Ray Fiennes' character's name, but he's like,
it's Quatermain, right?
Quatermain,
okay. He's named after that. What's his name?
Quatermass?
No, the Quatermain, the hunter from literature. I forget what he was in.
Oh, okay.
But wasn't he in like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen too?
I don't know.
I might have that mixed up, but I know it's like famous game hunter and stuff. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, well,
I didn't look it up enough to know, but I know the name Quatermain.
Well, there are honestly probably so many references that like the ones that I get. Then there's some that are clearly just going over my head. But the line I was referring to is when he says, how is this buffoon even going to catch a monster this big? And then Wallace is like, a big trap? And then everyone in the church is like, wow, that is a really good idea. Like, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's like, wow, great.
And so like somehow he's just like, he's getting hired to do this stuff.
Yeah, I just did some quick Googling, and yeah, Alan Quatermain is who I was thinking of. He was from King Solomon's Mines originally, the novel from 1885. But he was in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Sean Connery's character.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So he's like
that great career move.
An old game hunter, but like famous literature guy with a gun. So that's what that reference was.
Okay, well, there you go.
Right, there you go. I had to look that up because I knew it was bugging me because I knew it was I was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. But anyway,
so
yeah,
do you think
they're all idiots.
Do you think in like a feature length version there are some sacrifices to the animation?
I don't think so. I mean, the animation was great in this.
So I know I was watching with my daughter, and then we both had like a reaction when they were like going down the chutes at the beginning. That like, wow, this is like incredible. Like, how do they actually do this every single time?
Yeah, because this was one. I don't know if it was the first one, but I was reading that they this is one where they incorporated a lot of CG effects into it, so it wasn't like all completely hand animated. I mean, it was like 90%, but like any water in it was CG. Like when the bunnies are floating around in the machine, that was CG.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, some of the stuff is like, well,
not going to fault them for that.
Either we don't do it or we use a bit of CG. So yeah, I mean, but like it's not like you notice, right?
No, I had no idea. I thought this one, because I know like Vengeance Most Foul, obviously they're using some CG, and they're smoothing out some of the images and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I did read that 3 seconds was a good day for production.
3 seconds?
Movie, it took them 5 years.
Oh my gosh!
Can you imagine? I know we talked about that.
Did this movie make a profit?
I've got to imagine it did.
Okay.
I don't think it cost that much to do it. Just like thousands of pounds of plasticine and glue and.
Well, it's people's time is
Well,
what
I
it
guess,
takes,
but
right?
that's what I mean. I don't know how big of a crew they even have. I think it was like 30 people.
Yeah,
30 people for 5 years. Because at the end, I don't know if you noticed, but in the end credits, it lists all the babies that were born, all the production babies.
No, I didn't see
Because it
that
was such a
part.
long time. It lists all the babies that were born over the 5 years. That was crazy.
That's incredible.
That is pretty crazy. No, and I was also gonna say like because on this one they brought in more people obviously to help them do it because they couldn't just do it like they've been doing the shorts. Would have taken them 20 years, and that in order to prepare like the animators coming in, that's they did those shorts, and I think they released them like on DVD as well. Those whatever I can't remember the name of it. It was like Fantastic Contraptions or something. The Wallace and Gromit shorts. They did like a bunch of real small shorts, and that was like part of their like boot camp prep to get them ready for working on the Were-Rabbit movie. So
Right, sort of like how the special editions were practice for the prequels.
exactly.
Bring it back to Star Wars. I'm sorry. But yeah, I was trying to figure out like, freaking asshole gonna come into my lane here. Sorry, we're really driving here. Someone else killed us.
Trevor's quick on the brakes there.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah, we got to find out some way to fit those like the shows in there somehow.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about them at some point.
Just squeeze them in somewhere.
Yeah, just squeeze them in.
There you go. Well, we're arriving to the theater. We're gonna go see Ghost in the Shell. Are you excited, Pete?
I am excited. Like I say, I've never seen this. Not because I didn't want to, if that makes sense. Just more of like I've never gotten around to it, which you've heard me say a lot on this show. So this is one that I'm actually excited to finally get around to seeing because I've got a feeling that I'm going to really like it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's got some
yeah.
great
Especially
visuals.
on the big screen, right? Like to see those visuals, I feel like it always makes a difference. So yeah, excited. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, if you're new to the podcast, Pete and I are gonna go and watch Ghost in the Shell. Then we'll give you spoiler-free reactions to the movie we just saw, and then give you plenty of warning before we head into spoiler talk.
Yeah. Yeah, don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back right after the break.
Okay. Wish us luck.
Welcome back, everyone. Just came out of the theater after seeing Ghost in the Shell.
I realized as I was in there, I think I referred to it as like the Ghost in the Shell and a Ghost in the Shell a couple times on the way here.
Really? I didn't
Like,
pick up on that.
Well, the diehard, like,
Yeah, they're
anime
gonna be
fans
like-
are probably just like
so
fucking
much.
bunch of idiots.
Yeah, it's a bit eye rolling harder than Gromit. It's just Ghost in the Shell, right?
It's just Ghost in the Shell, yeah.
There
There's a
was-
shell and there's a ghost.
There
It's as
once
simple
was
as
a
that.
ghost in a shell. All right, should we get into it then?
Well, so this is your first time
My first
seeing
time
it.
seeing it.
So what are your first impressions here?
Pretty freaking confusing. Like I think I was following it, but you could like you definitely
Okay, please don't ask me for clarifications.
yeah. I was gonna say I have so many questions for Trevor. He's seen it once before. Yeah, it kind of just throws you right in there, right? Doesn't do a lot of explaining or preamble or hand holding. It's just kind of like go.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I can appreciate that. I mean, I'm not against like being thrown in. I think it can work. I kind of like. I felt like I was just kind of. I was getting. Every time I felt like I was getting like or was understanding it, I felt like something happened. I'd be like, okay, maybe I don't understand this fully because like some more stuff is happening.
Yeah,
it just kept. I felt like it kept throwing things at me just to keep me on my toes.
I think I can just like think of this movie in like a simplified terms. There's a lot of like details that I get a little confused by that I sort of want to just brush past.
Yeah, it's like you don't really need to understand that.
So this movie is brisk. Like it's an hour,
It
an
is.
hour, 18 minutes. Like we are already on our way home. It's not even midnight.
Yeah, right. That's
It's
pretty,
unusual
that's
for
pretty
us.
good for us. Yeah, I kind of felt like I, at the end, I kind of felt like I wanted more. Like it felt like the start of a story to me rather than a whole story. I mean, I don't know if there's more. I'm guessing there's probably more in the manga. I have no idea though.
I don't know. Well, so you said you hadn't really known much about this before.
No, nothing.
Did you know about the influence of this movie on the Wachowskis?
No, I did not.
So like basically the
That
Wachowskis
makes a lot of sense.
saw this in the mid 90s and they thought, holy shit, we have to make a movie like this.
Right.
Like a lot of people say like Matrix is like a remake or ripping off that. This one, I don't think that at all. I think it's just
Yeah,
like, they are
definitely similarities.
they're just
right?
inspired by
Yeah.
this. Because obviously the stories are very different, but like there's some similarities and some like settings and stuff like that, and technology, obviously.
Right.
But so that's kind of what I was holding close to the chest on the drive here. Is
No, I hadn't. Yeah, because I hadn't at all heard that, or that was not part of my knowledge. So, but that makes, now you've said it, it makes a lot of sense. Though you can definitely see the parallels. And I actually didn't think about it while we were watching it. I didn't really think like, oh, this is just like the Matrix, or it's like similar themes of the Matrix, I should say. No, I hadn't put that together, but yeah, definitely you can see it.
Well, I think the Wachowskis are the first to kind of acknowledge it as a major influence on them
Right.
in the 90s. And, they kind of very smartly knew how to package those sort of like anime sensibilities to like a mainstream American audience.
Right, exactly.
Because this movie is very alienating to a mainstream audience, I would say.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that.
So, but you haven't really said overall, like, how much you like it, or whether you're kind of too confounded by it.
I don't think I was too confounded by it. Like I said, I felt like I wanted more. Is what it was. Like I was like, yes, I'm invested now in this story, but I just felt like I wanted more happening. I don't know. I feel like my brain has been ruined by like serialized TV, because I'm like, this would be a great first season, like first few episodes of the longest.
Well, it's like a long pilot nowadays, right?
That's what I mean. It's just like that could be the opening episode of a really awesome animated series.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. And there's not much plot to this movie, really.
That's what I was going to say. Like, what actually happens? Like, not much happens. Like, I wanted to see him doing more badass missions and like, just doing cool stuff.
Major assassinates
right at the start.
A guy with diplomatic immunity.
Pre-credits, though, right? Like,
pre-credits.
Yeah.
They chase guys in garbage truck and the other guy going down there.
Chase that guy with the beard.
They go diving on a boat.
Yeah, and have a deep conversation on a boat.
Then they capture. I guess we should announce like.
Yeah, are we going around into spoilers? We've done the first act.
Maybe I'll stop there before I'd forgotten we hadn't done that yet.
I totally forgot to.
But yeah, there's a very like simple like A to B to C to D, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah.
For the movie, and then we're out.
Yeah, but I kept like thinking like there can't be much list left, and I feel like we're not really got into the meat of it yet.
Yeah, and at the same time, what I definitely appreciated this time around was like how invested the movie was in just like establishing a mood.
Yeah, it was very much so. It had like its time in certain spots for sure.
It had like a 3-minute just like montage where it's just like showing us around the city and like just like establishing like, it's rainy, it's dreary right now. I was like,
wow, they're really taking their time with this. It's like there's nothing is actually the plot's not moving forward. They're like you say, it's just they're just establishing a bit of mood here and showing different clips.
In that regard, like it was really reminding me of Blade Runner this time around.
I definitely was gonna say the same thing. It's definitely got the Blade Runner vibe from it for sure. I mean, but I guess like neo-futuristic Tokyo settings or whatever. You're gonna get that.
It's funny because they showed a preview for both Blade Runner and RoboCop before the movie, and I was thinking like there are some similarities to RoboCop, like certainly not in tone, but
in the fact cybernetic people police officers running around.
Yeah, there's a character who doesn't really know what their origins are.
Yeah.
And they go, I believe RoboCop's going to be our next episode after this, actually.
Yes,
So it should be interesting to see that one. But yeah, you can really draw kind of a straight line from Blade Runner to Ghost in the Shell to The Matrix, right? And it seems pretty clean.
Right, yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And so like this my second time around. I think I appreciate the movie even more, though I was already a big fan of it.
Yeah, I think it definitely, I would imagine it's one that you can, it was one for repeat viewings, right? I think you can get a lot out of it on repeat viewings.
Did you feel like it was dated, like not in a good way in some parts?
I don't think so. I didn't get that at all. Especially like knowing how old it is, right? Like, why did you think so?
The only parts I thought, like when it goes into like the the green computer graphics space.
Yeah, that definitely is true. And when it jumps into like computer graphics, you did that. I'll give you that. But I mean, that's
pretty much it, though.
But that just sort of like, it's like that retro future tech. It's like a style now. It's like a choice.
Well, it's like all that cyberpunk sort of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like reading. I don't know if you've ever read Neuromancer before or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just
Johnny
like
Mnemonic and that. So.
I was thinking of Johnny Mnemonic as well. Like just how like it's futuristic, but it's like
it's like future old tech, right?
It's someone from the 80s and 90s envisioning what the future is going to be.
I find it hilarious that it's like, in a future where they can make cybernetic people that like they can turn their fingers into multiple fingers so they can type. They're still going to use regular keyboards.
It's such a funny like, and of course that's like such a 90s thing, right? Like.
Yeah. It's like there's no better way to do an input into a computer versus a keyboard. So just make a super sophisticated robot that can use a keyboard really well. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
It's really fun because like Star Trek Next Generation kind of has it both ways, right? Like it has Data like tapping all the keys really fast, but occasionally like he will just like link with the computer and just do things automatically.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Well, yeah, they did a good job of making like always the isolinear chips that you have to move around. That's when he like does his fast motion stuff. We're getting into Star Trek now.
No, I thought that was pretty funny when the guy's fingers split into 100.
Cool,
it looked cool. I'm sure like a 95 audience would have just like their heads would have just been blown. Like
of course, like super fast keyboard action.
Yeah, it's like definitely like a person who had to take like typing class wrote that bit, right? Do they teach typing in school anymore? Probably not, right?
I can't imagine they do that. No, they don't even have keyboards at school. It's all tablets, man.
Yeah, but like you're using a keyboard on your tablet,
I guess.
Right?
It's all thumbs, though, isn't it?
I guess. I was just thinking like how many times I spent in the computer lab, like just like learning how to type faster, and like
maybe speaking.
Like we're not ancient, like we're not that old.
No, we are pretty old.
But it just seems like just a complete different world.
Yeah.
So maybe we should head into spoilers, you think?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I'm not going to do a pee report because this movie is 78 minutes long.
You can't hold your pee that long, then you're probably older than us.
You don't. Yeah, well, according to the demographics,
I don't think we have any over 55 viewers.
I think there's some, but
okay. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we got plenty of like 50 to 60. I think everyone who's over 60 is like, my mom and your mom, maybe.
Yeah, I can't imagine my mom watching that movie. Let's put it that way.
Well, you never know. Well, so if you're going to drop off before spoilers, I say we would both definitely recommend you checking this movie out. It's kind of an experience you have to see. Like, regardless of how you feel about it on the other side, I think it's one of those, iconic.
It's one of those movies that you just has to be seen, right? It's like you say, it's so influential, and it's just you have to watch it, even if it's not necessarily your cup of tea, or you don't jive with the story, or you don't understand what the hell's going on 90% of the time. I think it's still something you have to see.
Well, definitely let us know what you think at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. Hook up with us on all the socials. We are right in the middle of our Aardman watch, so yes, I think if you're just dipping in for this episode, definitely follow us and take part in that ongoing project, watching all the Aardman movies.
Yes,
It's
Aardman love.
it is kind of funny talking about Curse of the Were-Rabbit with this movie. Like it's insane. What a crazy episode this is gonna be for somebody.
Like, I hope there's people that are enjoying both. We can enjoy both. You guys can enjoy both.
I think Vengeance Most Foul lining up with Wrong Trousers was really good. Like this one, it's not bad. It's a very interesting juxtaposition.
Not the best synergy, no, not for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we're gonna head into spoilers now. If that stuff bothers you, come back and join at this spot once you've seen the movie.
Yeah, there you go. Pause it and go watch it.
Okay. So,
All right.
What did you? Did we want to try to
do a quick recap
to trace the plot here, or?
I guess so. So how far did we get earlier? They were on the boat, right?
Yeah. So she talks about how she likes diving in, trying to find herself.
The thing where they were like, oh, there was a voice that does that quote, that famous quote, and I forget what it's from.
Yeah, through a glass darkly.
Yes,
I think that's Shakespeare.
Is it?
I think so. I don't know. We'll have to Google it.
I don't know either. I'm not as cultured as you are, Trevor.
Well, I've read and seen Through a Scanner Darkly so many times. I should know this. I'm pretty sure it's Shakespeare. But
okay, so who was supposed to be saying that, and why? Why is that?
I think that was
who is that? Why?
I think that was I think that was the puppet master who was saying that. I don't know how they were doing it. I think probably just like interlinking into both their minds at that point.
I guess so.
Showing that the puppet master was like a bit of a voyeur into Major. And what was the guy cyborg's name?
It's like a B. Bodju or something. I can't remember.
Well, what did you think of the character design? First off,
so cool, man. It's so
fucking awesome.
It looks so badass.
Yeah, both those characters especially.
A lot of naked cyborgs in this
movie. It's just like that's just such a fucking anime thing, right?
It definitely is. I was like, this is getting a bit gratuitous. I was like, I think they've come up with a great plan. She can only use her camouflage powers if she first gets fully naked. It's like, why?
It's stuff like that that's just keeping me like from being like a full-fledged anime fan.
He's definitely got a bit weeby.
Like I was watching Evangelion,
Oh, okay, I'm not seeing it.
So I was watching that show because I was working my way to watch the movie, which apparently is really, really good. But so I took a bit of a break over that of the holidays. I'm hoping to pick that back up. But that stuff is just like rife with stuff like that, like
gratuitous.
Well, and like kind of like over sexualizing like high school age girls too, which is just like. It's such like a staple of the genre, and it just makes me so queasy.
Yeah, especially like at the beginning of the movie, there was so many slow-mo shots of just like, there's some boobs. Look at the boobs.
And it wasn't really cool.
It wasn't very cool. It wasn't very cool. But I was like, wow, this is a lot of boobage.
Yeah. So I would not.
It's like Barbarella.
I would not fault anyone for going like, come on, like Jesus Christ, like.
Not that I'm complaining. I don't mind boobs. They're fine.
I'm anti-boob, so there we go.
Okay, we've got it on record. We got it on record.
We don't agree on everything, folks. So there we go.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, and then after that, then they like Section 9 kind of captures.
Yeah, it goes to
the puppet master.
It goes to the girl, another naked girl getting hit by the truck on the underpass, whatever it is.
Even the boy has like a great rockin' bod.
Yes, he does. To be fair,
this one.
It's anime though, right? It's just like everyone's just perfectly chiseled.
And so from there, then Section 6 goes and meets into the lair of Section 9, and then like we know that there's an intruder there who's working.
Yeah. So what was the relevance of him pointing out that the door closed 3 seconds later? Because I was thinking, because I assumed that meant there was like someone camouflaged going in with them.
Yes,
did that happen though?
Yes. So at that point they knew that the base had been infiltrated.
Right.
And I'm not entirely sure if the base was infiltrated by the Section 6 government guys or if that's by like people that the puppet master had hired.
Well, I think it was supposed to be the Section 6 guys, right? Because the puppet master wanted to stay there.
Okay.
And they wanted to get him out, so they made it look like the puppet master had escaped, but really it was just them trying to reclaim him.
Okay. I think you're right.
But that's what they said in the movie. I don't know.
I think you're right.
Because why would he want to escape with Section 6? He wanted to be.
Yeah, you're right. Because he did just
Ask for
claim asylum
stuff,
at that point. Yeah, so you're right. So
he actually says that to her, right? He says like, they trapped me in this body, but then when I ended up at Section 9, like I wanted to stay there, so I could talk to you.
yeah, so how I kind of understand the plot, the Puppet Master was originally a program.
Yes.
It says it's not an AI or whatever, but somehow like through its travels, it has attained sentience.
Yeah, well, they said it was like they thought it was like a bug, right? So they put it in a body, which seems like an odd choice to make if you're trying to get rid of a bug.
Take all the bugs and put it in a body, then we'll squash the body.
So they can run away.
Yeah.
So you put it in a toaster or something. If you want to put it in anything.
But again, like I think that it kind of just speaks to how people from the 90s sort of just viewed the internet.
Yeah.
And that like they can't quite get their heads around it.
Right,
and so like at some point in the movie, we have to like just contain everything that's in this program into one physical form so we can see it.
Yeah.
I say that as a 90s thing. That's exactly what they also did in Age of Ultron, right? Because they're like we can't comprehend a villain that is just able to like occupy everything at once.
You can't punch it in the face either.
So like we have to put it somewhere where you can punch it in the face.
Right. What are you gonna do? Like just fight the internet? That's not gonna work.
Yeah. So then the Puppet Master is purposely trying to get captured by Section 9 because it wants to basically fuse with Major because it wants to grow and change and just like become more than itself.
So not to throw off our little rundown here, but like, what is the Puppet Master like doing? Because when like with the guys with the garbage truck and stuff, he was like controlling them, I guess, was he?
Yeah.
But what were they doing?
So he's like,
is he just like running amok doing stuff? Like, that's what I never really truly understood. Like, what is it that he's doing? Because he seems to be like, they keep saying that he's like, is he the one that took over that woman who was like an aide right at the beginning and like, oh yeah, we were tracking to see who he was going to puppeteer because he wanted to get into this meeting, I guess. But I never like, I don't understand like why he wanted to do that or what he was doing.
Well, I think at one point, like, yeah, he was trying to escape the country.
Right.
Right. I think.
Okay.
And then the others, like, Major gives like an overview of everything he's been up to in like the couple of years that they know that there's a puppet master, and it says like a lot of financial crime and a lot of acts of terrorism or whatever. But like I think we don't really know what the full story is because it's all kind of being painted in a negative light by the government, who is complicit in it creating it as a bug in the first place. I don't really know what like the actual details of it, like running that garbage can scheme was. Like, I think
that's what I mean. I didn't really fully understand what that. And like, are we to understand that he was put in a body? So he's like literally been walking around in a body somewhere, and then he left that body and went into the girl body.
Well, I think before he went into that girl body, he was kind of just hopping all around everywhere.
Yeah, because he said like there isn't a corpse to go to because I'm not a person.
Yeah, and like they designed that body so that once he went inside of it, he would be trapped there or whatever. Because
it seemed like a silly thing to do.
It's
like they mentioned like, oh, they made it.
I guess
they made it irresistible for him to jump into this body. It's like, okay, how did they do that?
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I kind of think the Puppet Master's just running around being a bit of a scamp.
Yeah,
and
just
doing,
like figuring stuff
doing
out,
various things, like figuring things out, and then like causing chaos and
just quoting Shakespeare, random people on boats.
I guess so. I don't. But yeah, like I don't know like what the actual like end game was of that particular like scheme, like where they like, but it definitely showcases.
I guess it doesn't really matter, right?
It doesn't really matter. Like,
it's not the point of the movie he's trying to make. It's just like, don't worry about what he was doing. He was just a program on going on a bit of a jaunt.
It showcases that there are these people who are existing that are basically just shells, right? Like, and
with ghosts in them,
but they're able to like implant these fake memories. Like the guy thinks that he's going through a divorce and he has a kid, but he's just like, he's by himself. That like a terrifying point in the movie is where the guy was holding up a picture.
Yeah.
He's trying to show his friend like a picture of his daughter. There's literally just a picture of himself. Like he was unable to like comprehend that there wasn't a daughter in that picture.
He was really grim when he was like, "Oh, can you fix it?" And they're like, "Nah."
Yeah, can you wipe these memories for me? Like, no, sorry.
Just like, nah, you're stuck with it. Sorry, dude. Like, oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah, that was dark.
Yeah, they kind of skip past that, but it's like really dark to think about. So, question for you for a conversation, right? They talk a lot about ghosts. What is it? What exactly are they referring to when they say ghosts? Because at first I thought they meant just like souls, but then they refer to souls separately from ghosts.
Well, I think it is soul, right? But they're
like, I was like, because they talk a lot about the ghosts, and you control the ghost, you can hack the ghost, and is there a ghost in there? And
well, I think basically like a ghost is a consciousness that exists somewhere in either like the actual human brain or the cybernetic brain that's attached to it. And then the question is like, if there's a program in there that, for all intents and purposes thinks that it's real, does it then have a soul?
Is it a ghost? Yeah.
So there's probably some details there that we aren't getting quite right, but I think that's like thematically what it's going through.
That's kind of what I thought, but it's just like they were so matter of factly talking about like ghosts, like it was a specific thing. It threw me off a little bit, but no, it makes sense. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, well, like this movie's very ahead of its time in that it's playing with those themes of
it's like what is consciousness, what is life,
and if I experience something that I think is reality, then who's to say that it's not real?
Well, wasn't there a line in the movie where it's like they haven't defined what life is yet?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure the puppet master, one of his lines is like, "Oh, you haven't. It's not been determined what life is yet. Like there is no definition of what life is."
I feel like there's a definition of what life is. Like,
are you sure there isn't? Because I feel like there is. But I think he's referring to like what we're talking about, like just if you have a consciousness, you're a sentient being who's alive, even if you're just a program. It's like data. Lieutenant Commander data, I mean.
They were talking about Star Trek again. Well, yeah, because it all goes back to the Rene Descartes quote, like I think therefore I am. So like as long as there's something in there that thinks that it's alive, then it's alive, right?
If it has who's to say it's not.
So it's really tough not to think of the Matrix now thinking about this stuff.
So getting back to our rundown.
Yes.
So where were we up to? They just bust him out.
Now they're chasing
him. There's a decoy. So she has to follow the other one by herself because there was a decoy car.
And I think the tank battle is pretty cool. I think it could have been a little cooler. It ended in kind of a...
It seemed very video gamey, that sequence. Which is probably just like because a lot of video games just take from it. But like hiding behind pillars and then shooting, I was like, I've played this video game many times.
Yeah, that's good.
It's like a boss battle.
That's a very good point, and I'm sure like this probably predates most of those battles.
All those video games are probably just taken from that. But that's why I felt like it didn't feel like it was the climax. It just felt like it was a beat on the story.
I found it
wasn't a big enough boss battle to be the end of the movie.
Yeah, I found it a little disappointing in that like Major tries to defeat it herself and then is about to lose, and then her friend comes and just like shoots it with this like experimental weapon. I think that's a little anticlimactic. Like,
yes, definitely.
I know like they were trying to get to a point where after the battle, like she's basically wrecked.
Yeah.
I think it could have done a better job of getting to that point.
She kind of just like ripped her own arms off.
She's trying to open the door for her to rip her own arm off.
Can you even do that? Like that seems like a bad design flaw.
She's like hulking out as she's trying to open it.
It looked so cool.
It did look so cool.
At the same time, I was like, what are you doing?
And she has to be naked for that because she was using her camouflage for it before.
Yeah, it's like naked torso, like arms getting ripped off and stuff.
Yeah. And then, so then we get to them on top of the tank.
Yeah, which I
Both
think is the
bodies kind
whole.
of
That's
wrecked.
like the whole. That's the proper climax of the movie, right? Is
Yeah.
them connecting and having like a very confusing conversation where they're in each other's bodies but looking at each other and speaking to each other.
And he only hears one side of the conversation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so he's like, "What's going on?" Yeah.
And so, what do you think of his proposition there?
A confusing proposition. So his point is that he wants to be able to procreate and to die, but in order to do that, he has to fuse with her so that they can put stuff out on a network or something. I was a bit lost by that point, to be honest with you.
Okay, so I sort of got it as like, he is one being and she is one being,
Right.
but if they fuse together, then that's them basically procreating. The two of them die, but then they exist now as a new form.
Well, how is that any better though?
That's just, it's something different, right? Like
Right.
he says a few times that he has a desire to eventually die.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess that's, but he doesn't want to die without like a part of him living on.
So I guess that's interesting that they at the end it's in a younger body because it's kind of like this is their kid.
I guess so, yeah.
But it didn't seem. It just seemed to have been her. Like he got shot in the head, she survived, and it seemed like the fuse didn't really happen. Is it supposed to be ambiguous? You think?
Well, no. Well, she has a line there where she says, "There's no longer there's no longer a person named the Major, and there's no longer a person named the Puppet Master."
Yeah. So it was very explicit. I'm just being an idiot.
It's okay. Like, well, the movie throws a lot of information at you in a very short amount of time.
Right.
But like at some point before they got shot in their heads, they had made a decision to fuse.
The fuse thing. Yeah.
So it must have happened in a microsecond, which like the movie has established that she's able to make decisions at that kind of speed.
At first I thought it was very strange that they didn't seem like they were in a rush to get away from that area, even though the helicopter guy had already warned them that helicopters are on their way.
Yeah, like I feel like that whole fusing thing could have taken part in the back of a car while the guy was driving away.
Move a bit out of the way. But then at the same time, I was like, but then they showed that they'd like hacked one of the guys and like basically deactivated all the helicopters so they couldn't do it. And I was like, oh, I guess they just knew that they'd be fine. And then all of a sudden they weren't fine. And
that was a little sudden. Like,
yeah, I was like, I thought they'd solved that problem, and now they're getting shot at. Shouldn't they know that?
Yeah. So in a couple parts like that, I feel like the movie is like not consistent with itself, though. That's really being nitpicky, I would say.
It is. It doesn't really make a difference.
So, like, at the end of the day, they got to the points where they wanted to be at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if, like, to your point, if the manga just, keeps going on from that point.
Yeah, it definitely did seem that way to me. I don't know if I've just been ruined by, like, decades of stuff like this, but to me, it was like, I've got this badass cyborg freaking assassin, like, cool. Like, more than one of them. And there wasn't all that much action in this. Like, I wanted to see him doing more stuff. Like,
yeah, they
barely did anything, really.
They were really just like two really good action sequences.
Yeah, there's a lot of them like stood in cool poses and like brooding and looking really badass. And I was like, yeah, these characters look badass, but there wasn't a lot of seeing them do badass things. Like she beat up one guy, she shot another guy, and then she had a fight against a tank. That was about it.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I don't know. I just wanted to see more, I think.
Well, I should say the animation was really well done. But you can understand why there's not more, right? Because animation's expensive, right?
And also, I don't know if that's necessarily the point of the movie.
You're right.
They're going for more loftier theoretical discussions. They're not really. It's not an full-on action-packed blockbuster. It's more of a thinking piece.
Well, so is Blade Runner, right? But the last sequence of Blade Runner has some pretty good action sequences in it.
Yes, that's fair.
That's why I feel like the tank battle should have just been like a little bit better than the movie itself.
Yeah, to me the tank battle seemed like something that would happen in the middle of your movie, and then you'd move on to your big climactic action beat. Like if they made the movie, if it was 2 hours long and they'd stretched it out a bit and had something else happen, I I don't.
Aren't you always saying you want movies shorter though, Pete?
Yeah, but some of them sometimes like you just want a bit more, right? Especially with these like deep thinkers where you're like getting into really like head scratching theology, not theology, but like theoretical stuff.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like, another 10 minutes for me to just think through
Yeah.
all the stuff that they're throwing
It's
at
like
us.
give us another 3-minute sequence so we could just look at pretty pictures and then think about some of this stuff for a bit, and then give us another big action scene and call it a day.
So, do you see yourself watching the ScarJo version of this movie? So you
No,
can...
I know we kind of skirted around that, right? And I haven't seen that, and I can't imagine it's very good.
I have not heard like any good things about it.
No, it's one of those things. It's like why they've never done Akira. It's just like, just don't even try it. It's not going to work.
Oh, I'm sure like there's been plenty of people who've been pitching that.
They've been trying for years to make it, but they've never done it because I think it's just like you can't. It's never going to be good.
Well, the thing is, like, it already exists in the perfect version
Yeah.
it is, like, and you know, you have the Matrix, which took a lot of like some good ideas and did something different in live action. So like, why do you have to create this in live action?
True enough.
And I said before, like, I don't understand the reason why like you want to take like a great animated film and turn it into live action.
That's the way to do it, though, Trevor. And it's how you make the big bucks.
Well, and I had never realized that Edge of Tomorrow was originally an anime, which I'd never seen.
All you need is Kill, right?
Yeah,
which is a better name than Edge of Tomorrow, and so is Live Die Repeat is also a better name.
Yeah, Live Die Repeat is the best of the three, I would say.
Yeah, they
Edge of Tomorrow's
really
a stupid name. I forget all the time.
Yeah, it's stupid
because they kind of like retcon Live Die Repeat into a subtitle, right?
I don't know.
That's just the
like
tagline.
if you see the DVD now, it's definitely bigger than the actual title. So, but I don't know if officially they actually changed the title. But yeah, but no, I've not read that book or anything. But
well, like they did like Cowboy Bebop in live action.
Yeah,
they did
recently, right?
They did Last Airbender in live action. They're doing it again, I guess.
A couple times, yeah. Is it not already out? Is that?
I think the first season already came out, and like
I hope it was not bad though.
People said like it's pretty good, but like a lot of people are still not interested.
Yeah, it's like that's pretty good, but it's not as good as the original. Which is better.
Have you watched Avatar, like the show?
No.
And I guess it's not proper anime, right? Because it's an American production, but like it's really fantastic. It's like
yeah, all I hear is that it's amazing, but I'm not into that one.
Yeah,
I will at one point.
Well, anyway, so we're in Pete's driveway. Any parting thoughts on Ghost in the Shell?
No, nothing really to add. Like I say, I would definitely recommend you watch it if you haven't, and I'm definitely going to watch it again at some point because it is one of those that I feel like, and you said it yourself, seeing it a second time, I think you can soak up even more stuff on repeat viewings. And it's not even an hour and a half, so why not?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like episode of Squid Game is less than that.
I think the first episode of season 2 is like that exact runtime.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, thanks everybody for sticking in with us. Let us know what you think of Ghost in the Shell, and let us know what we got wrong. We probably got a lot wrong on this one.
There's probably, I feel like sometimes people listen and are just like, these guys are idiots. Like, but just let us know. We'd love to hear why we're wrong. Like, we're here to educate. Let
us know why we're idiots, and send us $20 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. Definitely subscribe to the podcast. Want to mention that, and follow us on all the socials.
Yeah, let us know what you think of Were-Rabbit, the Curse of the Were-Rabbit as well.
What's better, Were-Rabbit or Ghost in the Shell? That's the big question.
What was more influential on the Wachowskis?
Well, I think, okay, sure.
There was no giant carrots in this movie.
Well, you know what? I still haven't seen Speed Racer, so maybe that's got some.
I haven't seen that either.
That's got some, Wallace and Gromit.
I'm sure there's a dog in there somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Anything else, Pete?
No, I think that's probably good for this week, guys. Reach out to us, give us your feedback, but until next time, that's the final word.